Now to break those numbers down is Quinnipiac University pollster Mickey Carroll. Mickey, thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Good to see you as always. So, really just sky-high numbers as usual. We're just we're becoming a broken record with these polls.
Well, we're getting boring. I mean, people will stop paying attention to the Quinnipiac poll. I said to somebody, we'll ask about his Queen's accent to see if there's something that people don't like about him. No, Cuomo, his numbers are just incredible. 66% job approval. It doesn't get much higher. And part of it came from the hurricane, of course, 86%.
Right. His handling of both Hurricane Irene
and the storms.
And the storms.
Absolutely. Yeah. And apparently people are happy with the job he did. I guess if you lived in Binghamton or someplace like that and saw the governor, looking at the floodwaters, you'd feel good about him being a hands-on guy. So, yeah, the numbers are just brilliant for Cuomo. He's, you can't go up forever.
Right.
And he's bound to do something or other. And there is, in this Quinnipiac poll, not a dark cloud, but at least a problem in this districting situation. The people don't wake up in the morning and before they eat their Rice Krispies say, wow, what is the legislature doing about districting? But it matters. Yeah. And if you're a serious poll, which Quinnipiac is, or tries to be, you want to ask about serious things. And remember last year, Ed Koch ran around, was all over the television screens and so forth, getting people to promise we'll have a nonpartisan districting thing. Well, you don't have it.
Well, let's talk about that nonpartisan redistricting thing. The governor said that he would veto the lines not drawn by an independent
No,
commission.
He didn't. He said he would veto the lines if they were unfair. And that's a big difference.
That's a good point.
You bet, but it's a big difference. Yeah. In other words, what's a fair thing?
But isn't there something that Cuomo can do to basically kind of sprinkle pixie dust on all of this and say, well, this was an independent drawing of the lines, or this was a fair drawing?
He can say whatever he feels like, but the point is the legislature's going to draw them. And then I'll tell you something else. Look, I'm old enough to have covered a couple of runs of these things every 10 years. It winds up in New York. It winds up in court. It always winds up in court. And also, that 9th district election last week, the special election. Did you look at the map of that district? It goes across Queens.
Oh, yeah. Heavily gerrymandered district.
Every district is gerrymandered.
Yeah.
Elliot Engel from the Bronx. Remember, there was that Hasidic community in Rockland. I've forgotten what it was, but something popped up there a month or so ago. And it said their congressman, Elliot Engel. I thought, what? Elliot Engel gets over to Rockland? Well, Carolyn Maloney has 3 boroughs. I mean, this is crazy. But the politicians do it. There's.
Yeah, but is it a make or break issue though? Ultimately, for the governor?
No.
Because when you call up a voter and you say, "Do you support an independent commission to redraw legislative boundaries?" and they hear that word "independent," and they think to themselves, "Oh, great."
Well, although Quinnipiac, we tried to get away from that, apple pie and motherhood stuff. So we asked, do you favor an independent commission, the legislature, or an independent commission with some legislative input, which makes sense.
Right.
And 27%, 50% said, yeah, independent. But 27%, which shows a lot of people are thinking about it, said with some legislative input. And let's face it, that's only practical.
Now, are people, though, well educated on this issue, though?
No.
I mean, do they, because ultimately you're going after what they call the low information voter. Does a typical low information voter who maybe catches a few headlines here and there knows about independent redistricting?
No, not only that. Whatever happens, nobody's going to get punished for it, guaranteed. But it does matter. And it matters. It doesn't matter so much who does it as how it's done. New York has just incredibly convoluted lines, and there is an argument for natural things, streams, mountains, and so forth, community of interest, and so forth, so that the districts should look reasonably sensible, and you shouldn't mingle people from here and there all over the place.
Sure.
So that's bad. So once again, does it matter? Yes. Does it interest people? No. Should Quinnipiac have done it? Yeah. Because we're a no, seriously. We should be a responsible poll, and this is a responsible thing to focus interest on.
Yeah.
The main interest, your interest, all reporters' interest, is in how's Andrew doing, and Andrew Cuomo is doing K.
And he's doing better than every other statewide elected official. I think the second highest is Chuck Schumer at 59%,
something like that,
which is relatively low for Chuck Schumer compared to Andrew Cuomo.
But you look at Andrew's number. Look at the numbers. You guys do. A lot of people only read the press release. But if you look at the numbers, you'll note, for example, there's no gender gap. It's the only politician I've ever seen with no gender gap.
And it's 61% with Republicans, too. 61% with independents. It's
but men and women exactly the same. 2/3 of men and 2/3 of women go for him. Now, the answer is, or not the answer is, the question is how come, and the answer is I don't know, but it isn't there. So Cuomo just goes across the demographic board. He appeals to everybody. Now, is this going to continue? He's bound to run into some trouble someplace or other. Right. But so far, it's so good. And what this thing he did yesterday about how we've got a competent government. Well, maybe they do, but they sure do have a governor who's competent in dealing with the legislature.
If we can, let's just roll that clip of the governor from yesterday talking about his storm response and talking about the competency issue at the state level and how he's tried to reset that.
Let's listen.
Operational aspect of the state government is paramount, and we've lost it. It's been diminished over the past years. And part of what we've been stressing from day one is the competence and the performance of government. The government should work and perform its job. And it's so far, I think it's fair to say that I'm pleased with the response of the state government in partnership with local communities across the state.
Well, pleased with the response from state government.
Well,
and that's something that, since he's taken office, he's tried to restore this aura of competency around state government.
Let's say take three things. One, dealing with the bureaucracy. Does he have control of the bureaucracy? I don't know. Number two, what about responding to crises? And 86% of New York voters tell Quinnipiac they liked the way he and his administration responded to the storms. That's so. And the third thing, and I don't even remember the numbers, does he deal with the legislature? Boy, does he. He gets what he wants. So in those three areas, there's at least two areas where Quinnipiac measures and he comes out plus. The third one, is he in charge of the bureaucracy? You will find out about that.
Sure.
And you won't find out about it dramatically.
Especially if you look at possibly how there could be problems in the rebuilding in the aftermath of some of these storms. Certainly that can be a much trickier, much more expensive procedure than necessarily just responding to immediate flooding, to an immediate crisis.
Well, and fine, and let's see how he does. But no, I mean just the idea of the agencies that run along and that don't pay much attention to
the basic day-to-day operations.
Yeah, well, that's that matters. Because, the state, unlike a city, the state doesn't run all that much stuff. And so what they run, if they run it well, fine. And Andrew Cuomo has seen this from the time he was a kid, when he worked for his father becoming the governor.
Right.
So that
he was his father's campaign manager.
Oh, absolutely. He was there as a kid. He was a teenager. Well, maybe not a teenager, but in his 20s. But the point is that he's seen it all, and he seems to know certainly how to deal with the legislature. That we've seen. Now, we don't see how he deals with the agencies, because it's sort of inside stuff. The only time you see that is if there's a scandal of some sort. And so far, I don't think he's had any.
All right, Mickey Carroll, unfortunately we're out of time. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Thanks for having me on.